in a minute. Oh my God, guys, we are back on the Brown Girl Rising podcast. And today I have a woman who I completely fangirl over. It is the one, the only Neet Nutrition. Neet is a health and wellness coach who has solutions for people who have hit blocks in losing that stubborn body fat, right? That diet and exercise sometimes can't shift. Her clients proudly achieve weight loss without dieting, without calorie counting or exercise. I love that because those are very masculine energies. So leaning into that female energy to lose that weight is beautiful. She uses intuitive eating methodologies, word I can't say, and she teaches individuals about nutrition, mindset, habit changing, food, psychology, meditation, skill development, social eating strategies, and much, much more. She offers life transformation and fat loss, right? So you are going to be completely blown away in this conversation, I am sure. Neet has been on so many different platforms across social media, also media outlets, including the BBC, The Independent, and UK Health Radio. And we are so happy to have you here. How are you, Neet?
That is the first time that intro has been used.
I love it.
I'm so happy because I'm obviously fangirling you, and we've known each other on Insta for so long. But I feel like this year has been pivotal for us to meet, to connect, and in person, and then fall in love.
Oh, look at that little heart shape. I love it. So Neet. Look, I'm going to go straight in. The first question I ask all my guests is, what does it mean to you to be unlimited?
You know what? It's what I want to become, isn't it? It's what I aspire to. So unlimited would be fulfillment without, right? So fulfillment without walls. I don't know how to explain what it feels like in my mind, but essentially it's to not be governed by civil personal laws. It's to be completely at one with universal laws. So in an entire kind of surrender to that. But I know with the human ego.
Yeah, no, I love that. So, if we put it into maybe a bit more layman terms, I think what Neet means is like that fulfillment without walls, no glass ceilings. There are nothing, it's everything is available to you because you are one with the universe, right?
Yeah. And it's different because what it would mean to me, to you, it's so different. It's so individual. It's so unique. And it's this idea, unlimited is the idea that you live by your values, not on someone else's.
Yes. Yeah. Freedom.
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 Which is also an illusion. But once you take me down that rabbit hole, we won't stop.
We might go down that rabbit hole.
An illusion.
So
there is no freedom.
So Neet, obviously, was patriarchal and I don't want to go into it. Let's not go into who owns the banking system and all that jazz. So Neet, you change people's lives. Now, you're a nutritionist, but, and I've said this to you before, is you are way more than a nutritionist. So can you just kind of run us through like what it is that you actually do?
Basically, I get you to stop and listen to your body. Like,
okay.
So we have all these over behaviors. We have these patterns and these actions that just get us through morning to night, morning to night, morning to night.
Mm-hmm.
And there are coping mechanisms. There's all sorts. Overworking out, overeating, over everything, over stressing, over parenting, like so many things. And they're unique to each of us based on how we've been raised. And this is the part people can't wrap their head around, it without the diet, without the calories, without the exercise. How? Because actually, when we are forced into pause and reflect, we become aware. And in that awareness, we begin to make changes, which we are then in that pause allowed to reflect on, which then reinforce in that frontal cortex. Oh, there's a thing called delayed reward. What is this thing called delayed reward? It's, knowing in abstinence, there's a self-control, but it's not a deprivation.
Okay.
So it's for me, it's in the pause. It's tapping back into those feminine energies. Yeah. Right? You get this because we are too much and too fast in the masculine. So when we step into the feminine, we're able to just take a pause and reflect on what we really need and want versus what we're doing in those cover behaviors.
So we're able to kind of just hear ourselves, hear our
Yeah.
bodies, and intuitively like
Respond.
listen to what we need, right? And
Yeah.
respond. Yeah.
Because you and me know we're either perpetually full or we're perpetually hungry. There's like these really black and white extreme polars, like these polarities that people are like trying to go into to improve their health. But actually, most things are just grey. When you take away those polarities, you can connect to the body. You might be hungry and choose not to respond. You may be full and choose not to eat more. But it's all about making it a choice.
Mm. Mm. So why do you then think that this, okay, so you and I are on the same kind of trajectory when it comes to how to listen to your body. I know that you commented on a post I put up the other day and you were like, oh my God, you had me there. Because I was talking about, those coaches who go, you can lose 15 pounds in 30 days. And I kind of twisted it around a little bit. But
So clever.
but why do you think that maybe that, that mathematical way of losing weight, the calories in, calories out, the move more, eat less, those kind of messages are not what we need anymore?
So we need more UMEs. That's the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Because those messages are adding to that stress that is already accumulating in our bodies and our lives, and they're unattainable, which is why we go back into the loop. We start, we stop, we start, we stop, and they're putting an undue pressure on you because what we now know is body size isn't an automatic link to health. Um, People may not understand or perceive that I am smaller and my cholesterol went up because
Yeah,
weight is not directly linked to cholesterol. So, and the assumption that bigger bodies are unhealthier, and it comes down to the human negative bias. We listen to more negative things, we pay attention. It's just the way as humans we're there to protect ourselves, right? So, like every day, we are still functioning as caveman, right?
mm-hmm.
Seek pleasure, avoid displeasure. Seek pleasure, avoid displeasure. Food is pleasurable.
Yeah,
But in the modern world, it's now here we have it all around us forever for anything we want. And when they put us into these like thinking patterns of you can do X and Y and then numericize it, it kind of triggers that dopamine, like, yeah, yeah. But it's innately against our human design. So then when you're putting us into these stressful situations, like exercise is a stressful situation, which is raising
absolutely.
cortisol in your body, and they're not teaching you to meditate, to, regulate, do the ions of barefoot walking, whatever. What's so jelly in the brain today? Like,
Grounding.
what is
Connecting with Mama Earth.
what is going on? Yeah, like grounding, and then you might be able to achieve it. That isn't the issue, but it's about all the other drawbacks to that. So we go for those messages because we want certainty, we want guarantee. We don't want the fluffiness of ground, regulate your nervous system, and let your body release what doesn't serve it. Is that going to be weight? Is that going to be 2 pounds? Because people put their value in their body size.
And I've done that so many times, like, yeah. So like, I don't know if you know my backstory, but at university, because of depression, I turned to food and alcohol, and I became like a size 24 and 108 kilos. I was huge. You don't know this. I can see it by the look on your face.
Not 100. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. But then I ended up in one of these well-known slimming clubs. I'm quoting and quoting because slimming. And I got obsessed with the scales, right?
Yeah.
And so standing on the scales every week, you were either slimmer of the week or you didn't get a star. And then it was like, I remember walking through into one of these slimming clubs once, and the person I was with was like, oh, let me go and have a wee because then I'll be lighter on the scale. I was like, oh my God. But
Okay, Ush, I haven't
go
heard
on.
that one before. I've heard so many. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. Mm. She
Right.
literally peed just before she got on the scale to make herself lighter. I was like, but how do you know what you were before you peed? Like, come on, seriously. And
A
then
poo, I would understand, and people do that. couple of pounds, you know.
A couple of kilos sometimes, I don't know.
It's a good thing. We should talk about poo. We should not be ashamed.
I love
Our bowel
poo.
movements are natural process of the body.
Yeah.
Love that we
But
went there.
yeah, I love poo. We'll talk about poo. We can do that. But honestly, like I got so obsessed with the scales, I ended up with bulimia. And I went from
Yeah.
108 kilos to 55 kilos in 10 months. Like, yeah.
Whoa.
And that was my first, that's when I ended up in hospital because I was so dehydrated. It was awful.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. And you know what? It's like,
But can I tell you something else before you say what you're about to say? I got so much positive reinforcement from
oh,
neighbors, from
that's
men,
what I was about
from,
to say.
oh, you look so good. Man, I lost my hair, my nails were brittle, my skin was awful, but I
Hmm.
look great because you know what? Makeup and nails covers a lot of sins, doesn't it? So yeah, carry on. Sorry.
So this is exactly what I was going to say. So there's that Ariana Grande was talking about this, about how much you all loved and complimented me at my unhealthiest, where she was drinking and not sleeping. And this is it. So there's two things: the number on the scale moving, dopamine, which is the kind of reward drive hormone,
Mm-hmm.
ping, 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 ping. Um, Sometimes, and with food, equal to cocaine. So what it is, that positive praise becomes the other thing, and people get addicted to getting those
Mm.
compliments.
Yep.
You look great, you look great, you look great. And now sometimes it's sequential, so you're losing, 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 getting the compliments. The other one is like you're there, but you're seeing different people, so you're getting all these other compliments.
Yeah.
And so we intrinsically link it to somehow being a validation and a good thing. I'm accepted.
Yeah.
That's really messed. I'm so glad you talk about it, and obviously all the stuff that you do, because the other thing is, and I always say this, like, disclaimer, I've never been in a larger body. My body dysmorphic issues were perception based. You know,
Mm.
they were not actual physical body based. And at my largest size 14. So my experience of understanding women in larger bodies and reclaiming the word fat is based on clients and having heard so many of their stories of living in a larger body and the discrimination. It's, we are far, far, far away from having a society that isn't fattest. That's the
Mm.
truth.
Mm.
We live in a fattest world.
We do. Now, that's a really important subject you bring up there because I know you said that, larger bodies aren't really, they're not necessarily related to being unhealthy. But I mean, there is some science behind, having that extra body fat around like your belly and things like that. So,
Yeah.
like, can you comment on that? Because there are people out there who are body confident and are like the size 24, 26, this and the other. But I was unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's right to say just because you're body confident, like you will lead a longer life if you lose 10% of your body weight, right? I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh God, there's so many peer-reviewed journal studies on this. It doesn't always equate that.
Mm,
So for me, it'll always come down to what kind of quality of life you want to lead
quality. I like that.
versus the longevity of it. And we do live in a discriminative world, and you will be unable to do things like go on
Mm.
certain rides, go to certain places, cinema seats. There's so
Get on a
many things.
flight, you'd have to buy two seats sometimes, right?
Yep. Extenders. And that's just the impact on the cost of it. And then you've got the thingy. So, and also what is that quality? And if it was in an ideal world, I would be selling, come and learn to live a happier, more fulfilling life. And that comes with its own challenges. There is no happy life. You are going to get both, whether you like it or not. It's about making you more resilient to the challenge. You have other tools
Mm,
in your toolbox so that you can comfort eat, but you will call a friend, go for a walk, do the grounding, like you'll do a thing. But ultimately, when you are seeking out those feel good behaviors, the weight loss in my systems is always a byproduct. But
yeah,
people don't want to hear. They want to hear, are you going to get me
yeah,
down on the scales? And for some people, even if it's the most minute shift, it's the huge shift. Yeah, that
yeah,
they're like, this changed my
yeah,
life.
yeah. And I think
So you're
identity,
right.
yeah.
It's about there are with sugar. I will say with insulin resistance, so type two
Mm-hmm,
diabetes,
mm-hmm.
that is one of the areas in which we do have a link to health and body size.
Okay.
But in others, not necessarily. And there's going to be a whole host of things: genetics, social, relational, emotional, economical things. But
Yeah.
yeah, how fulfilled? What life do you want? How much access do you want to the opportunities in life?
Yeah, I like that. That's beautiful. Yeah, no, you've given me food for thought. And this is why I love talking to coaches, right? So I love it. So I want to talk about the NHS. So you do work with the NHS now, and this is a conversation that I was going to do on a solo cast, but I was at the hospital the other day for what I thought was DVT after flying home from Bali. It wasn't, it was plantar fasciitis. Literally, I hurt my foot somewhere. It was
My
so funny.
sister-in-law is going through this right now, so this is really useful.
Exactly. So, like, literally, it was plantar fasciitis, and she told me to rest my foot, elevate, whatever. And this doctor that I had was amazing. She was just so open. And I just went, do you think that the NHS is going to go private? Because, you know, there's all this talk about like the NHS going private and we're going to have to pay and this and the other. And the one thing she said to me, and I did not instigate this conversation, so it's really funny how it fits into ours, but she goes to me, the NHS won't go private, but parts will. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? She goes, well, yeah. She goes, well, there is a massive obesity epidemic. And she goes, the NHS will stop paying for people who are obese because they have brought it on themselves the majority of the time. Your face says it all.
So it costs them billions in the NHS where it comes to weight related. But again, the NHS is like a dinosaur. What's really, so I'll tell you, first of all, I was like, I'm not going to go and work somewhere which is which is contravening what I do, which is not weight focused. So I thought, okay, I'm being called to go and just keep following this process, which took 8 months, just so everyone knows.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
And something was like, just stay with this. And then I got my 4-day training. And in that training, I was like, let me see what they're going to do. Because I thought they're going to make me do metrics, like measure body fat, measure this, measure that.
BMI is a big one, isn't it?
Yes. And again, we know scientifically how limiting and flawed it is.
Yeah.
So it has its values in certain instances, but it is flawed. So then the training was all about non-prescriptive coaching. So this is the part where you say, like, I'm way more than nutrition. We are literally just holding space for them to share anything, whether it's social, economical, or health. It is not weight loss focused. It's self-activation focused. It is informed personal decision focused. So they may come in and think, oh my God, my blood pressure is really high. Help me out. Let me lose weight. And then when you ask them what is the most important thing, because that's a lot of the questions that we do go to as coaches, like, what is the most important thing to you right now? Let me just be really clear. You and me both know nobody is turning up to meal prep or work out if it's not at the top of their priorities.
Yeah.
We all function on a values and priority system. It takes people to either hit rock bottom to change habits, which we know from behavioral psychology, or it is something that they have to build into their other priorities. You're just not going to do it. But then when you get underneath what is the most important thing to you, if it is their kids, if it is overwhelmed, in particular, like I did a case study, I did a presentation to the GP forum in my NHS role to talk about a case study where the woman had high blood pressure. She believed she needed to reduce her BMI. But when we talked about it, she was suffering from extreme overwhelm. I didn't touch on what you should do to lose weight. I said, what would you think is possible to do? And she picked the actions. Now, is she going to show up if I tell her what to do? No, she'll come in and she'll feel more ashamed and she'll go backward. So eventually, if it fell into the walking category, great. But that could be for her getting to sleep on time, speaking to her loved ones, cutting time off with one's triggering loved ones, reducing that time, gardening. It's not constructive masculine weight loss practices. So I was really glad that in the NHS I didn't have to do that. And it just opened up this whole like, wow, they are trying to shift. But if you ask my practice managers what they want me to do versus the training and the deriving force behind health and wellbeing coaches being put into the NHS, they're different. They're different priorities.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You can see blood pressure reduce from stress reduction.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. We know that.
Yeah.
We know
My
that.
cholesterol went high with my weight loss. So you have to take a different approach for cholesterol. And it's just that, what is your rock bottom? What are you willing to do? What are your priorities? What is your vision? The coach, we're just here to hold your hand, hold space.
Yeah. Guide a little bit.
So God, that'll be interesting. I get what they're saying, because the NHS, you know what, they do so much more, like they do so much, right? How are they meant to sustain for the whole population when there seems to be an extra pressure in one area? But the introduction of health and wellbeing coaches, fingers crossed, will make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that they're doing that and turning it from lose weight to actually let's get you a health and wellbeing coach.
Yeah. And we talk, like I said, same thing in my private practice. We talk about anything and everything that matters to you as an individual.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
everyone's ready. Not everybody's ready. You can't just say, the nurse could send somebody in who I think straight away, low activation, not ready, but you hold space and they can maybe go away feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly what I used to do in my own coaching practice when I was a personal trainer was actually most women came to me with the guise of weight loss, but actually turned out there was so much more going on that was creating the stress in their lives. The cortisol was through the roof, and actually time management wasn't great, and sleep wasn't great, and coffee consumption was ridiculous. And when you fix these tiny bits, it has a huge impact.
Yeah, I said to my PT, I said, you guys are like therapists.
Yeah.
Like, you would know that in that room with you, they are them. They're like, they get to figure out who they really are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is why I like the fact that now I can say in my bio without feeling any kind of like backward guilt, because I used to with the whole, I didn't want to promote weight loss. But now I respect, if you want to change your body, it's entirely your decision. There is nothing wrong with that. Pick the person that you think you're going to get the best results with if you're ready. But with the belly fat, the reason I specialize in that is because with my own weight regain in the last 2 years, it was the cortisol. So I love to now be able to say to people, let's breathe, let's slow this down, let's pause, let's get those cortisol levels down. And it's exactly what you said with the coffee and the rest of the stress behaviors. Chuck them in the cold shower a couple of times.
Love an ice bath on my face. Oh God. Yeah,
yeah,
completely.
your video was amazing. You were like,
yeah, no, it's so important to do things like that, right? And try these, let's quote them alternative practices, but practices that have been within our culture for
ancient,
so long.
spiritual, proven, practical. Like, oh, they're so everything. Like you just did something at the weekend. Is like this is this is where we're taking people, but they want to come in for weight loss.
Yeah. The thing is with those ancient practices, I'm just going off the cuff here, it's because of things like the British Raj and the British rule and empires taking over different countries like India, Philippines, whatever it is, these spiritual countries, and they were like, that's witchcraft, that's not right, we're going to put in Christianity, you're going to love our God, and making these kind of patriarchal demands on us. We lost it.
Yeah.
I find it really funny how then the West has taken everything and then
Sold
resold
it
it
back
back.
to us.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time. And now they're selling us, do you want a yoga teacher that's brown?
I know.
Like we're just constant, like, and this is the thing that you and me both know. So those overing behaviors that I'm talking about, overcompensating the inner voice and that discomfort, it's the fact that that consumerism that comes from this in the West, you can disguise all your problems, baby. Just get a contouring kit,
Yeah.
get the latest push-up bra. And it's just like, if and that's why the question at the beginning is really powerful. I really like that you put that there, because they're stripping your power. They're limiting you, and you are limitless when you can release that. And that's a lifetime journey. That's what, I meant by not being within the walls.
Yeah. I
So yeah,
love
that's
that.
why today I had my Reiki massage this morning. I didn't have anything after except for a group call, and I have the tail in my hair, and I've got the oil still all over my body. So I keep,
Yeah.
and I'm really like, I then keep on something cozy, comfortable. I show up as this person, as my authentic self. You can see me online dressed up. You'll see me like this, because it change who and what I bring to this conversation if I change my clothes. But in fact, it's important for us to maintain these practices, the oil massages, the Reiki and the cupping. And so, like I'm here, like just being able to be me with you. And I know that I only come like this when there's no judgment in a space.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Like and I think so there are lots of different layers to spiritual awakening. And I think there comes a point where you're like, this is who I am. I'm going to show up as whatever. Like my hair might be a mess. I've got like,
I
I've got
still
amla in my
struggle.
hair. I've got like, like I've got these things. I've had my Reiki, my whatever, and this is how I'm going to show up. But on the flip side of that, Neet, is like this whole actually, when I put makeup on my face and when I do my hair, I feel fucking good,
You feel
right?
hella fly.
Right?
Hella fly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing is we can be a bit of both.
And even in the East, like that's what we had. We had the surma. We decorated. Women decorated themselves. Like if you look at the jewelry that they wore, remember it was expansive. It
Yeah.
was, and and that's an art. It's an art and it's an expression of self. And
Mm.
again, it comes down to the same point about if you want to change your body, if you want to adorn your body, like you get to do that. I still struggle. Like I was doing a presentation to some executives. I literally went vanilla.
I want to talk
I
about this.
put
Mm.
on an outfit, a vanilla outfit. And I was like, what are you doing? Because you know me, I'll turn up sometimes in a kurta, I'll go in a dress. I love the fact that as women we get to explore all of this. But
But not just women, babe. It's
it's
actually
every
ethnic.
every
Yeah,
yes,
it's also ethnic women. Like
yeah.
like when I see you, and the first time I met you in person, you were adorned in this beautiful kurta. You had your jewelry on, and I was like, damn, girl, you are owning that. I turned up in like a freaking blazer, and I'm just, do you know what I mean? And it was
And
like,
I got it from Chintal, and
yeah,
I got it from other women. And I remember seeing Chintal at our circles and just being like, wow. And it's the comfort, it's the ease. And yeah, but when I'm going to this presentation, I went back into that. And that's a bit of that trauma of being a brown girl in a corporate world. We believe we've got to, these weren't white corporate. It's this, it's perceptive, it's perception. Yeah, I went vanilla, babe. There was no neat nutrition in that room that day. No, there was some.
you are really
So we are
owning.
all, yeah, we
Yeah.
are all working on this. I went through a period of growing out my eyebrows and taking them up because like, oh, we
You
all in this
completely went
together.
so high that we lost you there.
Basically, I was like, I just don't know. Um, it's a really ongoing journey, and I love then, and I can own that I'm in circles where I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
There's people aren't going to judge me for kurta one day and a hot pants the next. It's all good,
I
baby.
mean, we've had these conversations before, haven't we? Really want to go to a twerk class. Like that's one part of us, and the other part of us is that Indian girl dressing in a kurta. Like I feel like a freaking princess when I'm in a sari. Like I am queen bee when I'm in a sari, and I know it. And that's not me being egotistical. I look good, and I'm gonna own my culture and my
Yeah,
heritage. And even on Sunday when I did my first sister circle, like yes, I wore, do you know what? I wore this beautiful yellow dress and I
it was
didn't
like,
know they had these sleeves that kind of went down. I thought, oh, these are nice little back wing sleeves. And I then read the label and it said angel wing sleeves. And I was like, shut up. Anyway, so I
because when you said it back wing, I was like, you're disrespecting your wings right there. But
they were angel wing sleeves. They were
yeah,
beautiful, right? And I didn't realize that that's the dress that I bought. But on top of that, yes, I wore a very Englishy dress or a floaty dress, let's say, but I had like my really long necklace on. I had my
yeah, you're
jumper
like,
earrings on, and I had my crystals on, and I was bringing my ethnic vibe to it. And I love the
yeah.
fact that I believe, are the luckiest people in the world that we get to be British Asian.
We get to blend, we get to take from culture to culture upon culture. By the way, we're going to go pole dancing classes as well, because one of the
Okay.
ladies at that presentation was doing a pole dancing demonstration. It was amazing.
Okay,
And
we're
and
there.
here's yes, here's another thing about removing those taboos, because within that room, those women are no longer a wife, a daughter. They start to just tap into who they are. But yeah, we got to do it as a group. We got to get a
Do
group of
it.
us there in our kachis and just have bad jokes and just laugh. It'll be so fun. But
Yes.
and this is about desexualizing the body, taking back that power, like we want to take back the word fat, desexualizing the body and actually tapping back into the feminine and expression of self. I realized within me that there is still a reluctance to move and to feel into sensual movement, right?
It's something
So
I do very well.
yeah, hello, baby. When I go to working with you.
No, and it's true, right? So like that whole embodiment practice for me is about moving my hips, is about kind of being that flowy woman. And there's nothing wrong with twerking. It isn't a sexual act. In fact, it comes from the
No,
Africas, right? Like women, that's how they
so
dance, that's
good.
how they moved,
Yeah,
right? And it's a way of just releasing energy from the body.
yeah,
And embodiment is a word that for years I just couldn't get my head around. But now I feel like I've just embodied embodiment as a word, and I love it. And I love being in my body. I love
yeah.
music. I love just having that rhythmic movement. Like, yes, 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 yes. Pole
Yeah,
dancing,
it
yes.
was so at home, kitchen, bathroom, in the shower, like, we get to use our, yeah, this is why I love the sexual influencer, sexual health influencer Seema,
Yeah.
because she talks about pleasure. And again, she talks about the Kama Sutra. She's like, nowhere are they talking about penetrative sex. They're talking about pleasure. And she even has a view, like potentially that it was written from the feminine lens versus the masculine.
Oh,
Yes, because it really focuses on that kind of that duality of it all. But yeah, it's when I thought about going to less twerking, but like to the pole dancing class, I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And see, the point here is judgment is allowed to be our first response. It is human. It's
yeah.
what we follow it up with, the second, third, fourth, fifth thought, because that's where we get a choice. So I could look in the mirror and be like, holy, hey, Ram, and then change it. Like, and we're all
Mm,
doing this every day because we aren't going to wake up one day and love every part of ourselves. We can start to accept self, but you may never love all parts of yourself.
no. I'm surprised you've never done pole dancing, if I'm honest with you.
I'm surprised.
I have.
Oh,
I love
like,
it.
like I've looked at places locally. Yeah. And also, it's the freaking best for fitness, like
It
for
is.
all of the muscle groups that are dormant in,
Yeah. Oh God.
do you know what I mean? In static gym exercising.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, who's got time for a bicep curl?
Only if
I'm
my
actually,
PT Mimi,
mm,
only for my PT. But no,
yeah.
it has to be intentional. And I think that's the thing. We lost intention. And what you were saying about the messages earlier around diet, exercise, we throw ourselves into it because we think you're going to give me the ready-made plan. I mean,
Yeah. So one thing I've started doing, and I'm sure you have too, is that I wake up in the morning and I go, okay, my alarm is set for whatever time my alarm's set for. And I'm like, okay, what do I want to do today? How do I want to move my body? What feels good? And so this morning it was boxing. I was like, yes, I need to go and smack a bag. So I went boxing, right? But then when
love
I
this.
was there, like, and this was like a big thing for me. Like you've seen me dance. I love dancing, but I don't go to dance classes. It's something that I'm like, I'm not as good as them, right? But this woman, when I was there today, was like, you know what, there's a really cool dance class here at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. Like, why don't you come? And I was just like, why don't I come? So I'm going. So, like, Friday morning, going to a dance class. But yeah, it's just like wake up in the morning, and this is what I tell all my clients is what does your body feel like doing? Does it feel like more rest? Go and rest, right? Does it feel like getting outside into nature and walking? Go and do that. Or does it feel like doing an epic gym workout? And what kind of gym workout? And if
Yeah,
someone says to me, I've got gym intimidation, I'm just like, it's because you don't know what to do. And you
yeah,
get there and you're fearful. So I say, just go and just do a 10-minute warm up. And if you leave
yeah.
after a 10-minute warm up, great.
You went, yeah,
You win. You actually win. But if you go and do a 10-minute warm up and then you go, okay, I'll do 10 minutes on something else, or I'll go and do some leg press, you've definitely won. And
yeah.
that's the only way to get over gym intimidation. I don't know, because I think we've spoken about that before, haven't we?
I think any intimidation is in doing, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love the idea of like waking and having and setting the intention for your day. And then that goes into like working with our menstrual cycles. And, you know,
100%.
this is why Joe Wicks can't tell me to do 20 burpees the day before my period because I'm not want to do the 20 burpees.
No, no,
I don't want to go.
no.
And you got that intuitive voice. It's always feeding back. And so in terms of gaining weight, my body was just trying to talk to me and communicate an unmet need.
Yeah.
But we see it as like, oh, this is the worst thing, like, and we panic, we try to punish and lose the weight. But how about we realize it's not permanent, not a fixed thing? What's your body trying to say to you? Like, listen
Mm.
in. But
Mm.
yeah, and then if you have got a cycle, if we've got 4 seasons
Yeah.
in every cycle.
And it's so funny that you bring up the Four Seasons, because I was actually reading Rise Sister Rise this morning by Rebecca Campbell, and it talks about the Four Seasons, right? So spring being, and it also kind of put it into kind of your there's 4 different archetypes when it comes to women, and then you've got the other archetypes. So you've got your maiden, you've got your mother, you've got your crone, and there's another one, but I can't remember what the 4th one is. That's terrible. A wild woman and your crone. So yeah, so your maiden season is that spring season, is that, you've come out of your period, and it's that kind of initial season.
Yeah.
And then you go into ovulation season, which is your summer, which is your mother, which is your fertile
Oh,
season, and how you should respect your body in that moment. And then you've got the next season, which is like coming up to menstruation, and it's that wild woman season, that kind of autumnal, like, and then
yeah.
you've got your crone, your wise woman, the person, and that's your menstruation period, where you actually need
Oh,
to go inwards, and everything, you just need to go and retract. But the society that we have, and the society that's been created, is a very patriarchal society, and we haven't been taught to work with our cycle. And actually women
yeah.
would be way more kind of, we would get so much more done and be so much more in tune with ourselves if we did work with our cycles. There's a wasp, oh my god, a little bit more.
Hey, is it gone?
Is outside the window. I just shut the window, now I'm not hot. They're
Oh,
everywhere at the moment.
that is also known as fight or flight. Urvashi's body has gone into a state of panic, and therefore it starts to perspire. Absolutely natural. Um, I was going to ask, interestingly, like sometimes I've gone to like sister circles, sacred spaces, and they've done sound healing, and then it's initiated me to have a menstrual bleed.
Oh wow.
I'd love to know
Wow.
if I wonder if your weekenders had anything like that. And I've heard it like in other spaces where they've talked about it, like, oh, after this week's sound bath, my period came early, and I find this so like fascinating, insightful, magical. We are magic.
We are
We are.
magic. We are so in tune with water and the moon as well. So I don't know about you, but my period will come usually around the full moon or the new moon.
Yeah, yeah. We synchronize with the moon cycle. You can also weigh more around the certain moon. I think it is the full moon.
Yeah,
So we can hold more water retention in our body. So that's why I said way more. You didn't get fat. No one gained
yeah,
fat. It was just the
yeah.
moon. It's
Yeah,
cool.
and who really cares about our gravitational pull to the earth, right? Like, the heavier you are, the less you're likely to fly away. Come on.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. Who cares about our gravitational pull towards the earth? This is on it. I'm so using that. Is that been out there in your messaging? Because that's a good one. I like that one.
I'm maybe in my one-to-ones, but no, use it, girlfriend, use it.
I have to remind people of this. And this is why I'm like, please, like, don't be a slave to the scale. The scale is not telling you the truth. It doesn't tell you everything. It doesn't tell you about your sleep, your hair, your nails, nothing.
Okay, let me ask a serious question now. So someone wanted to look better, feel better. What measuring tools would you use? Because obviously some people do want to lose weight or fat. Let's say fat, because it isn't about weight loss. It's about fat loss, actually. Leaning out is muscle gain and fat loss, right? So
Yeah.
what measuring tools would you use as a coach rather than the
So because
scale?
of the method, yeah. So because of the methodology that I use, and I always ask, because some people are triggered by metrics like inchy tape. I call it
Yeah.
an inchy tape because we
Inchy tape.
we brown over here. Um, So some people are treated by inch tape, so measuring tape and weighing scales. So I ask people, but some people do want to take it, and I've got no issue with that. Like some people are motivated by that. Again, the dopamine. So you can do either, or I do give a measuring tape because I personally believe that as your body starts to change, and it's a slower methodology when you're intuitive eating. because again, it's about listening in. You may have an artificially high weight at the beginning, so people see it quite easily coming off, because it could be that dysregulated state. So then you go into regulation, your body starts to
Yeah. And you haven't
function
pooped for 2 days.
and poo. I want you to say that. Like, yeah,
Just
you get
say it.
regular poo, you get a regular period, you get a regular wee, and then you may not see it move on the scale, but you may see it change. And I still give a disclaimer, because your weight, yeah, will choose where it wants to go from. You can't say go from my stomach.
No, you can't.
Yeah, because it will go from this little overhangy bit here, from like there and there. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't measure everything. So then obviously we track mood, energy, we track bowel movement. We don't track it, but I do check in on a weekly basis about bowel movement, hydration. How did you sleep? What is your like other energy levels like? So we do a lot of like what we call, how it is, non-scale victories.
Yes.
And
NSVs.
you got to celebrate, because in this slower methodology, like I said, you may not see anything shift for 4 to 5 weeks. So if you want to hang in there and you want to see that change, you don't want to give up at week 1, 2, 3, then you got to start looking at your
Mm,
wins. I've stayed more hydrated, Rav. I've been more committed to going to sleep. I'm making time to journal. I'm reducing my stress. I'm going
mm.
for walks. And eventually, you'll be so used to checking in on those. Because I went through the same thing when I started in my PT in June. I was like, God damn, I am in the mind of my clients. Why am I being so impatient? Why am I
Mm.
being so desperate to see the change? Like, so I had to keep talking to myself with compassion and kindness. We call it the
Yeah.
kindness method.
Yeah.
And then when she did take that picture, I was like, whoa, because you may not even perceive it. So you do have to have a certain metric. Otherwise, you may not actually believe
Yeah.
that you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it
So,
depends on what that means, picture,
yeah.
weight, or inch lip.
Yeah, I also like clothing as a measurement tool. So, like, if
Yeah.
there's a pair of jeans or there's like a
How do
dress
they
that you really want to get
feel?
into, yeah, how do they feel? Like, are they fitting better? Or, has your overhang gone? Like, do you feel sexy in that outfit? So these are other little methods, exactly. And I think feeling sexy is really important.
Yeah.
Not for anybody else, for yourself.
Yes.
And it's something that I've spoken to a couple of life coaching clients about. It's like, how does the word sexy make you feel? And there's been so many barriers that come up. Oh no, sexy is like those pole dancers, or I don't want to be sexy because men use that, exactly, men use that word, and it makes me feel
Yep.
icky, stuff like that. And I'm
Yep.
like, I feel sexy, like, I'm at a place in my life where the weight is slowly coming off after Bali, and I feel sexy.
You got the energy. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, thanks babes. And so what I want for Brown Girls Rising and for the community that we are creating as coaches together is for women to own their femininity. And in
Yeah.
that femininity is sexy, is how do you feel
Yes.
about yourself, body
Yeah.
confidence, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's really important.
I'm going to tell you what came up massively in 2020, when I was coaching larger groups of women, that they had children and they still hadn't had that sexy feeling, right? Within. And now so then I go to it and I'm like, wait, look at this. Let's look at this. Some of your body aspirations are the prepubescent bodies we will never attain as a brown person. These are Eurocentric, white, prepubescent body types, no boobs, no bum. And you have to be realistic about the body that you want to attain. Second thing is, then y'all get married, yeah, and all of a sudden you can wear red lipstick. Like, oh, okay, because I'm about to get married, I can adorn myself. Then the next day or the same day, now you can have sex. Like, all these permissions are coming through like
Yeah,
thick and fast. And most of them, the window, the curtains are drawn, the lights are off, they haven't, and they had banging bodies. You know this. Everybody is like phenomenal. But you are now having to reconnect and find yourself after children because of maybe a birth trauma or because of certain like not feeling yourself because your body has changed so much. And I'm just like, this is because the society has thrust you in this
yeah,
scenario in like you're allowed to be sexually active now, but I told you never to have a boyfriend before. How are you ever meant to like search your pleasure, your sexual pleasure? So I have to say
exactly.
to people, you've got to learn self.
Yep.
Then you can have those communications with your partner. And so when that weight loss journey is so much more than just fitting into your dresses and looking good, it's exactly what you said. It's feeling sexy within yourself in gaining that confidence, you will see every relationship around you improve,
Yeah,
particularly with your
100%.
partner. Yeah,
100%.
get freaky in the bedroom. Why? You can do that with anybody, but it's around the moons. You know, we talk about this around moons and what are they when we have the overlapping things? What are they called? We had loads of them this year. The moon situation, Earth and
Oh my
moon.
God, what are you?
Eclipses.
You are literally like blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, women, and Mina Kamani talks about this. Go have
Yes.
your orgasm, like go get your orgasm on. Like
Yes.
it, it's
And
just
learn to
so.
do it yourself.
That's the point. That's
Learn
what Mina
what
is
you
talking about.
like.
Yeah,
I love the fact that she brings the mirror into
yeah.
every conversation. Like, have you looked at yourself today? No, Mina, I haven't.
Oh, it's and I know women who have had parents do that with them and have way better body confidence despite size, and so healthier personal, sexual, mental health, and then obviously with partner. But genuinely, you're right. How does what makes you feel good? How do you feel good?
Yeah, exactly. Are you
Yeah,
asking me that right now?
you could answer it. But I was going to say it's a multifaceted thing because yeah, you can't just overnight be like, oh shit, like I can undo what my parents taught me my whole life, the experiences I've had. Because you know, growing up, we've had a lot of people have had unsafe experiences. So it's about again recognizing that something isn't you don't feel right within yourself. Get the support, get the help. You can get I have multiple cultures. We're just talking about this, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. And that's why in our circles we can just be ourselves and we know that we're going to have be heard. So
Mm.
find those spaces and you'll start to navigate. And
Yeah.
like I said, is isn't it? We should, like it's not like
Yeah.
any transformation is
Yeah. Yeah. It's not linear at all.
yeah.
It's not linear at all.
I'm
And
going to do some
most
dancing
people
after this.
around you won't even see the hardness of it sometimes, the tears, the tantrums, the pain you go through for transformation. And one of the things that I tell my clients is actually identity shift is really important. It's about envisioning who that new you or that future you is and becoming her before you've actually become her.
Been talking about this everywhere. Like I'm talking about it tonight in my masterclass. Like becoming who you want to become.
Yeah.
It's like this. We're always attaining after trying to attain, but if you can't see the presence of it in the now,
Yeah.
then you're just on a treadmill, aren't you?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like if you know that in the future you want to be that woman that wakes up and does yoga or meditates every morning, well, why can't you do it twice a week now? Right?
because I think you gotta do, be, and have.
Yeah, exactly,
But tell us, what
exactly.
is it the right way?
Oh, I don't even know. You tell us.
Be. You gotta be the person
Be.
who does the thing, who then has.
There you go. I like that. I love
And it
that.
changes our identities. And I have to go through this with people. Like when my son went to school, both of them were in school. I had an identity change. Earlier this year, they were more self-sufficient. I was like, oh, I had to have
Yeah,
another identity shift. And but in that shift, that's where I refound my ability to be able to go back to working out
yeah.
in a way that served me.
Exactly what I said earlier, right? I woke up this morning and I went, what do I want? What's going to serve me today? Yes. So tell us, right? We're going to have to end soon because this conversation and just for those people listening, I just want to say that this conversation I knew that I would not need to prepare any questions for because Neet and I can talk for hours on the same subject. We have a very similar outlook. And I knew that it would just be a really nice conversation covering lots of things. And we have from sexuality to sex to pole dancing to weight loss to, NHS. I mean, come on, we've covered a lot of subjects today in
Yeah,
40 odd minutes.
it's been amazing.
Tell us the one thing that someone can do today to help them get out of a situation they're in. So say, for example, if they want to become a better version of themselves, what can they do today?
It's going to go back to that pausing and just taking note of what's happening in the now. Just and when I say pausing, you can do it in meditative space or just slowing down, and it's just to hear your voices. Because if you are in a situation and you want to become something different, you got to know what you're working out of. You got to know what's holding
Yeah,
you back,
yeah,
and that can feel scary, which is why we just rush through life.
yeah. So take
Pause.
that pause, figure out who you are and who you want to be, and then the steps, the baby steps will come to you along the way. Like we
Yeah.
didn't go, I'm going to be a coach and today I am who I am. Oh my God, no, we took multiple little steps along the way, right?
Yeah. We were just saying that, like you've had like such a varying journey.
Mm.
We don't know where we're going either. Like it's good stuff.
I know I'm going to write a book.
Like I mean, like what
I
amazing
know,
that
I'm
you're not.
joking with
What's
you.
the book going to be about? I love this. Can I have a little shout out?
Absolutely, you can.
Greedy
Absolutely, you
Rev.
can. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think, we always need to have some kind of an idea where we want to go, but how we're going to get there, I think the universe just brings what it needs to bring to us. The
Yeah.
right coach at the right time, the right teacher at the right time, the right partner at the right time. You might meet somebody who you think is the one, but actually it doesn't work out, and actually that is in your favor because better is
Yeah.
coming, and
Yeah.
that's
The
what we need to,
wrong
yeah.
experience at the right time. They're
Yeah.
all, yeah. So, like we talk about this, if you did things differently, you'd have a different life. It doesn't mean it would be any better or worse. It would just be different. It's just
Mm,
understanding that.
I love that. I love that. Wow.
Stole it from one of my coaches. The same.
I want to continue this conversation, but I can't because we need to like wrap up.
It's
Um,
all good. I've
so
loved it. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. So Neat, look, how do people get in contact with you? Where do they find you? Just spill your socials.
So obviously, your girl likes to hang out on Instagram on NEET_nutrition, NUTRITION. I had to just throw
Right.
that out there. Or it's www.neatnutritionasoneword.co.uk, or it is on YouTube, or you can just see me having loads of silly fun on TikTok with my husband, which is again neat_nutrition.
I
Thank
love
you,
that.
Ishi. You're amazing. I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
You are welcome. And I will obviously put all of your links in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, you know where to find me. I am Unlimited Urvashi or browngirl.rising across the socials. So we will be back, or I will be back on the next episode. Thank you, Neat.